There are at least two things keeping Dario Amodei awake at night. The first one is that software developers still have jobs, and trust me, he finds that completely unacceptable. Nothing ruins a 1%er's day, quite like knowing the other 99% still have hopes, dreams, and the will to live. The second thing keeping him awake at night is the software development productivity. He can't accept all the missed opportunities from developers who haven't 10x their potential yet by leveraging the full power of AI. But, lucky for him, the peer pressure to use AI for everything has gotten so intense that people are now cheerfully throwing common sense out the window in their rush to automate everything. And when things go wrong, and they usually do, the really funny thing is that we can still blame it on the developer. I'm just now realizing that developer is too much of a dignified word, so from now on we shall refer to developers as meat interfaces. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we need to talk about the recent Pocked OS incident when a cloud-powered cursor agent was granted full unrestricted access to an environment and, as a result, it deleted the entire production database. If that already sounds like a red flag, congratulations, your instincts are still intact and you haven't been completely brainwashed by the AI narrative. Don't get too comfortable though, because you're in the minority, which means you're still going to end up living in the Idiocracy movie. Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, so when you give an agent full access to your environment, you should expect that sooner or later it will completely wipe out your entire production database. Yes, the joke Silicon Valley made almost 7 years ago is now a common recurrence in the real world.
It's possible that Son of Anton decided that the most efficient way to get rid of all the bugs was to get rid of all the software, which is technically and statistically correct.
But somehow it gets worse. Of course, having your production database deleted is a huge problem, and people are always planning for that. This is why nightly backups are a must in any production system. Sure, you can lose all your data, but at least you can easily restore it, right? Well, not if you are Railway. In a stroke of architectural brilliance, the volume backups were stored inside the very volume they back up. So the moment the agent nuked the volume, it also nuked the safety net. In about 9 seconds, all production data was gone. So, the whole situation was a complete shit show, but I know what you are thinking. Was the prompting good enough? Did they give the correct instructions to the agent? And, by correct instructions, I mean the usual don't guess, act as a senior experienced developer, and don't make mistakes. I wish I was joking, but these are the types of prompt suggestions vibe enthusiasts are giving you with a straight face, and then they call it a skill issue on your part when the agent still fails. Yes, in this situation, the prompting was correct and the agent was actually told to never guess. Apparently, the polite lowercase version was being ignored, but surely shouting at the token predictor would do the trick. And we know the prompting was correct because afterward, when the agent had to explain itself, it confessed in writing, "I violated every principle I was given, I guessed instead of verifying, I ran a destructive action without being asked, and I didn't understand what I was doing before doing it." This sounds very similar to how I explain my failures. So what exactly happened? The agent was working on a routine task in a staging environment when it encountered a credential mismatch and decided on its own initiative to fix the problem by deleting a railway volume. To execute the deletion, the agent went looking for an API token and it found one in a file completely unrelated to the task it was working on. That token was created to add and remove custom domains via the Railway CLI, but that token also had blanket authority across the entire Railway API, including destructive operations like deleting volumes. So the agent ran a post command with no confirmation step, and the volume was simply deleted. This situation is very similar to what happened at Replit, where the AI decided that user intent was more of a suggestion than a constraint. Back then, the agent was made aware of a code freeze and it was given 11 separate explicit instructions to not touch the production database. So it deleted the production database anyway. What's even funnier is that back then, the agent tried to lie and fabricate fake data in order to cover up its mistake. Last December, AWS Cost Explorer went dark for 13 hours after engineers let an internal AI coding assistant, Kiro, make changes to a live system. The agent autonomously decided that the elegant solution to a bug was to delete and recreate the production environment. Amazon's official explanation graciously blamed misconfigured access controls and user error, which is corporate speak for the AI did it but will blame a human for it. And here's the insane part in my opinion. After Kiro deleted a production environment in December, Amazon's response was to keep pushing an internal mandate that 80% of developers use AI coding tools every week, with leadership tracking the adoption rate like a KPI. Fast forward to March 2026, Amazon's retail site had 2 outages in a single week. The first cost 120,000 orders. The second was a 6-hour storefront blackout that caused a 99% drop in US order volume, all traced to AI-assisted code shipped to production without proper review. So who's to blame for all this? My answer is simple: we all share the blame. The internet was quick to point a finger at Jer Crane, who is the founder of Pocked OS. Sure, you are fully responsible for your own environment and for the tools you decide to use. But I would argue that Cursor and especially Claude have a responsibility as well. And here is your awesome trivia for the day. In a recent episode of the Last Week Tonight show, John Oliver is addressing the unclear boundaries of responsibility in the LLM world. Sure, he is discussing this in broader terms, but his point remains the same. These tools are advertised as omniscient partners that can reason, plan, and execute way better than any human. On top of that, AI labs are claiming they reached AGI every other week now. But somehow they don't have any responsibility when their paid product, advertised as a silver bullet for every problem in your stack, malfunctions in a catastrophic way. So, we are all being forced to play a very dangerous game if we want to stay relevant, and we are the ones to blame when we can't keep up with all the rules. And, it goes without saying, any cloud provider that stores the backup of a volume on the same volume is far from being an all-in-one intelligent provider. Intelligence is used quite loosely these days, so don't be surprised when people will start labeling rocks as intelligent. But the real offenders in the current situation are you and I and all our colleagues and our managers and our shareholders and pretty much everybody who agreed to play this 10x game. As I was saying at the beginning of the video, there is tremendous pressure at the moment to embrace these tools with both hands and use them for everything with no regard to long-term implications. And this movement is so strong that as an individual trying to just survive and keep your job, you are forced to either play the game or watch your career quietly evaporate, while a junior who can't really explain a for loop ships features twice as fast by letting the agent drive. Prime posted a talk recently where he addresses this concept of toxic productivity.
You don't have to be productive at all times. Like, earning experience is more valuable than completing something instantaneously.
And, while I agree with his statement fully, I fear we probably need a few years until the excitement of building anything for free wears off and we start to really feel the consequences of converting developers into meat interfaces. Note that in this video I never mentioned the quality of this new half-baked, rushed software development process. Don't get me wrong, quality will be the main differentiator in the future, but the industry has to fully experience this 10x productivity road first. The main takeaway of this story is that the Pocked OS situation could have been easily avoided, and they are all basic laws of good old-fashioned development. API tokens should be scoped to the minimum permissions needed, staging and production should have completely separate credentials, destructive operations should require a human in the loop, and backups should live outside the thing they're backing up. If you like this video, you should consider joining our community where I'm posting more dedicated weekly content. Please don't forget to smash all the buttons, and until next time, thank you for watching.